Chapter 1. The calm versus the chase. You've felt this before, even if you never said it out loud. When someone actually likes you, everything feels quiet. You're not checking your phone every 5 minutes. You're not rereading texts trying to decode hidden meanings. You just exist, and they exist, and somehow it feels easy. But then there's the other kind. The one where your mind never shuts off. Where a simple, sane message can ruin your entire mood. Where you keep telling yourself, why am I thinking about them this much? And that's the confusion, right? Because logically, you would think that the person who makes you feel excited, nervous, obsessed, that must be the one you like more. But what if that feeling isn't love, or even real interest? In this, I'm going to explain exactly why calm feels unfamiliar, why anxiety feels addictive, and what it actually means when someone makes you feel like you have to figure them out. And more importantly, what that says about them, and about you. Because once you see it clearly, you won't be able to unsee it. Chapter 2. The silence that feels safe. Think about the last time someone genuinely liked you. They replied without making it a game. They didn't disappear randomly. They didn't leave you guessing where you stood. And yet, part of you almost didn't trust it. You might have even thought, is this too easy? Or, why am I not overthinking this? That's the strange part. When something is emotionally secure, your brain doesn't have much to do. There's no mystery to solve. No emotional rollercoaster to ride. So instead of excitement, you feel calm. And calm, for a lot of people, feels unfamiliar. Almost boring. Not because it is boring, but because you've been trained to associate intensity with importance. This is where most people get confused. They think, if I'm not constantly thinking about them, maybe I don't like them that much. But what you're actually feeling is safety. And safety doesn't demand your attention. It doesn't pull you in. It just stays. And that's why it's so easy to overlook. Chapter 3. The hook of uncertainty. Now let's shift to the other side. The person who doesn't make things clear. They reply, but not consistently. They show interest, but then pull back. One day they're warm, the next day they're distant. And suddenly, your brain locks in. You start asking yourself questions you never had to ask before. Did I say something wrong? Are they losing interest? Why were they different yesterday? If you pay attention, this is where the addiction begins. Because your brain hates incomplete information. It wants closure. It wants patterns. It wants certainty. But this person doesn't give you that. So instead of moving on, you lean in. You analyze. You replay conversations. You check their last scene. You notice small details that you would normally ignore. And without realizing it, you've turned them into a puzzle. Chapter 4. The illusion of liking them more. This is where things get a little uncomfortable, but it's important to understand. You think you like them more. But if you really slow down and observe what's happening, what you actually like is the feeling of trying to figure them out. Because figuring someone out gives you a sense of control. Every small sign of interest from them feels like progress. Like you're getting closer to winning them. And that feeling, it's rewarding. Not because of who they are, but because of what your brain is experiencing. Uncertainty mixed with occasional validation creates something very powerful. It's the same pattern that keeps people hooked on things they don't even enjoy consistently. And this is why calm connections can feel underwhelming in comparison. Because they don't give you that emotional spike. Chapter 5. The role of modern dating. Now, if you look at how dating works today, this pattern gets even stronger. There are more options, more distractions, more ways to stay half involved without fully committing. People talk to multiple people at once. Conversations start quickly and fade just as fast. And in that environment, inconsistency becomes normal. So when someone is unclear with you, you don't immediately walk away. You try harder. You think, maybe they're just busy. Maybe I need to be more interesting. Maybe I need to give it time. And while you're doing that, your emotional investment grows. Not because they earned it, but because you're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. This is important to understand, because it means your feelings are not always a reflection of the person. Sometimes, they are a reflection of the situation. Chapter 6. What they're actually doing. Now let's talk about them. When someone likes you, their behavior tends to be consistent. Not perfect, but predictable enough that you don't feel confused. But when someone keeps you guessing, it usually means one of two things. Either they are unsure about you, or they are not prioritizing you. And both of these led to the same experience for you, instability. But here's the key part. Their inconsistency is not a signal for you to try harder. It is information, and this is where most people go in the wrong direction. Instead of seeing inconsistency as a lack of clarity, they see it as a challenge. They think, if I just understand them better, this will make sense. But it doesn't, because the confusion is not something you're supposed to solve. It's something you're supposed to notice. Chapter 7. Why your mind won't let go. Even when you know something feels off, it's hard to step back. Because your brain is already invested. You've spent time thinking about them. You've imagined conversations. You've replayed moments. And now, letting go feels like losing something. Not just them, but all the effort you put into understanding them. This is why you keep going back. Not because they're right for you, but because your mind wants a resolution. It wants the story to make sense. But sometimes, there is no deeper meaning. Sometimes the reason you feel so attached is because they never gave you enough to feel settled. Chapter 8. The calm you keep ignoring. Now this is important. The calm you felt with someone who liked you, that wasn't a lack of chemistry. It was the absence of confusion. You didn't have to guess. You didn't have to prove anything. You didn't have to chase clarity. And because of that, your mind didn't latch onto them the same way. But that doesn't mean the connection was weaker. It means it was stable. And stability doesn't create obsession. It creates peace. The problem is, peace doesn't feel intense. And most people have learned to associate intensity with value. So they overlook the calm and chase the chaos. Chapter 9. The truth you were looking for. If you bring everything together, the pattern becomes clear. When someone likes you, you feel calm because your brain is not searching for answers. When someone doesn't, you feel pulled in because your brain is trying to create those answers. So the feeling of, I can't stop thinking about them, is not always a sign of deep connection. Sometimes, it is a sign of unresolved uncertainty. And this is the part people don't want to hear, but it matters. The more confused you feel, the less clarity they are giving you. And the less clarity they are giving you, the less you actually know about where you stand. So instead of asking, why do I like them so much? A more honest question is, why do I feel like I need to figure them out? Because those are not the same thing. Chapter 10. The quiet realization. At some point, you start noticing it. The difference between thinking about someone because they bring you peace, and thinking about someone because they bring you questions. One feels steady. The other feels urgent. One lets you rest. The other keeps you searching. And once you see that clearly, something shifts. You stop confusing emotional intensity with genuine interest. You stop chasing people who make you feel uncertain. Not because you suddenly have all the answers, but because you finally understand what the feeling itself means. And maybe the hardest part to accept is this. The person who made you feel calm was never boring. You just weren't used to not having to chase.